I'm going to show you how to sprout organic chickpeas. All we're going to do, my sprouting setup for large beans and lentils is pretty simple. I just get a pot and a colander that can fit somewhat into the pot and a lid that can fit on the colander. So if the colander can fit into the pot, then generally the pot lid can fit on top of the colander. So all you're going to do is take your organic chickpeas, now this is a 500 gram bag, so this will make a lot. So I'm only going to use maybe, let's see, I'm going to use about a half of this bag. So I'm going to use about 250 grams of dried organic chickpeas. And this Inari brand is pretty good, but just make sure they're dry, raw beans. And if you grow them yourself in your garden, you can just pick them and dry them yourself for the winter. So once you have your peas in your colander, you want to give it a really good rinse. So give them a really good rinse like that, and then I just generally finger through them, and if there's some that look like they won't be viable, they're too brown or anything like that, you want to remove those. Let's just remove any, like this one sort of looks bad. We don't want that one in there, so we'll just finger through and pick out any that don't look great. And if they're already split in half, they're not going to sprout, so you want to remove those as well. Alright, and then just give them another quick rinse. And just plop them down in the pot and cover them with filtered water. There we go. So you want to bring the filtered water up to a level that covers all of the chickpeas. So once that's done, I'm just going to pop the lid on and just lay them on the countertop out of the sunshine. There's a little bit of sunshine can get in around here. And I'll let them soak for 24 hours. And then after that, I'm going to rinse them 3 times a day for about 3 days. And while we're waiting for the chickpeas to sprout, I'll just give you a little update on my herb pot. So here are my herbs, and I've been picking from them daily to add to salads. We have some cilantro here that we grew from the coriander seeds that I have from Mountain Rose Herbs. And we have 2 different types of basil. It smells lovely. And I think there's some parsley in here. There's a little bit of parsley. And just a tiny bit of dill. I took out some of the dill because this is a giant version of dill and it will eventually take over the pot. So that's my little herb pot just sitting here in the cooler window. And it's been really great to have some fresh herbs in the winter. As you can see, it is March here, but our winter is going to continue on until the end of June. So, yeah, that's just a little update on the pot of herbs. So now let's get back to sprouting the chickpeas. So the chickpeas have been soaking for 24 hours, and I'm just going to dump off the old water. And now just rinse them. And rinse them really good. Okay, and pop them back into the pot and put the lid on. And I'm going to do that 3 times a day. It's not that hard, just usually breakfast, lunch, and supper time. I'll give them a rinse and pop them back in here, and we'll do that for a few days until they sprout. We're on day 3 here now of sprouting our chickpeas. I'm going to give them another rinse. This time we want to be a little more gentle with rinsing them because they're already started to sprout. good rinse. So they're all alive and bursting with energy. So here it is, a little chickpea sprout. Fully raw chickpeas. These have not been cooked. They're just soaked and being sprouted. And then we can use them in some raw recipes where we want some texture and extra protein. And this is a live sprout from an organic chickpea. Great for raw foodies. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a little taste here now just to see. Yeah, they're still a little firm. So we're going to give this sprouting another day and see what they're like, and then they'll be ready to use in your raw recipes. So it was pretty simple. You just get some good organic chickpeas, soak them overnight for 24 hours, rinse them 3 times a day for, well, this is 3 days, so you want to go maybe 4 or 5 days, and then you can have raw chickpeas in your recipes at home where you want a bit more texture and a bit more protein and still keep with the raw food. And if you're growing chickpeas yourself, you can collect quite a few chickpeas. So if you're doing a paleo diet and you think that you can't eat beans, or a raw food diet and you think that you can't eat beans, just look at what nature would provide, and you could actually gather up quite a lot of these chickpeas if you were to gather them from the pods and dry them yourself, and then you can sprout them, and they're alive and full of good enzymes. They're great for any of your raw food dishes. So I hope you enjoyed how to sprout your chickpeas, and you can do this with lentils and several other peas and beans as well, but do your research because some are quite toxic and you do have to cook them. You can't eat them raw. So we want them to sprout a little, oops,